I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to the Lazy Booking Go. It's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, one and all, to a brand new edition of Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants. They are located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. And you can give them a call at 215-369-3300. Tax season will be back before you know it. So be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
I don't like when you slam it in front of me, Maddie. Damn it.
You didn't know?
Welcome back to Lazy Booking live from the Real Talk Studios, live on A2DRadio.com, live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Appreciate the fam joining us tonight. On the couch, we got Maddie Sensudi and Chrome, the Ginger Gang, the greatest tag team in pro wrestling right now.
The next
today.
tag team champions.
And over here on our left, we have our advocate, the Mike Mataraki. And on the ones and twos, we have Ryan Brodo. The bro. I won't say your nickname. Welcome back off the shelf, buddy.
I just want to do this one time.
What's that?
Metal Man and Heel Chrome, the Ginger Gang.
That's right, brother. That's right. That's right.
This contest scheduled for one
One
fall
fall.
with a 20-minute time limit.
Well, more like 2 hours. But yeah, give or take. But Scanzano Sports poll question of the night, guys. This is Extreme Rules. Coming up on Sunday, our lead-in, what championship will change hands at WWE Extreme Rules? The Raw Women's Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, SmackDown Women's Championship, Universal Championship, which we know won't happen. I don't even know why I put that on there. That was a typecast on mine. I actually meant to say the U.S. title. Jesus, I drew a blank for a second there.
Well,
the
maybe-
United States Championship.
Maybe an impromptu Brock Lesnar Open
Well,
challenge, and
part of the conversation is going to include the Universal Championship, so you never know.
The what?
'Cause there's a Universal Championship.
They have that?
Do they? Do they?
No, that's just a myth.
Who is
That's
that?
not real.
Well, listen.
Push me now, go to sleep later.
There's going to be something that we're going to talk about with that. We're going to talk.
How'd you
Brock
like
Lesnar
that?
we're going to talk Brock Lesnar showing up at UFC. So absolutely, we're going to jump into that as well. But yeah, guys, we're going to jump into Extreme Rules early this week. We got a card here. I don't know how excited you guys are about it. I really don't know what to make of it. Because we know this is the last filler pay-per-view before we start hitting that stride again for SummerSlam, then into Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. We start hitting that hotbed in the season. So
there's a few interesting matches.
I think there's definitely a few interesting matches. We're going to have Mr. Sensudi here. He's going to read down the card, and we're going to talk about each match.
All right, then. So starting off the night, we have the six-man tag team tables match, Sanity versus The New Day.
This is a six-man tag team tables match.
So this is the pre-show match, guys. How do you feel about it? I'm liking what they're doing with Sanity at this point.
Are the rules that all three guys have to go through the table or through a table?
I got to say I'm not totally clear on that, but typically in a tag team match, that usually is the stipulation that goes down, so I'm not 100% certain. Regardless, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking Sanity is probably going to pull this one out. The hot new tag team coming in. They're going to need a big win. Putting them in against a New Day, a team that can take a loss. And hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe this starts to the breakup of the New Day, because I'm dying to see Big E as a single star at this point.
And hopefully Sanity getting pushed a little bit more towards the SmackDown tag team titles in the near future.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting this week that, obviously on SmackDown they had the 10-man tag with Team Hell No and the New Day taking on Sanity and the Bludgeon Brothers. And what Mike kind of talks about a lot is kind of creating an image or a picture by having Sanity and the Bludgeon Brothers kind of there with almost like a stare-off.
Right.
And kind of work. I thought that was very interesting. And I think that could be a very interesting, almost like a dark feud. I kind of like the idea of that maybe being the SummerSlam program. What do you guys think?
I actually like that idea. Depends on how long Kane is available, because depending on how long Glenn Jacobs has, they may push that back just a little bit and just have Team Hell No have a quick little, program with the Bludgeon Brothers for the SmackDown Tag Titles, and then they move on, and then Sanity comes up. I think it really just depends on Glenn Jacobs' availability.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty sure Glenn's availability is going to be very limited coming up, so I would imagine. I think this is just a filler match that will draw attention by having Team Hell No.
Right.
And it's a good team. It's a team that people know, a team that's won the title before, that can just kind of continue to build the Bludgeon Brothers going forward.
And I think it's also a great way to, for lack of a better term, protect Daniel Bryan, where you're continuing his progression back into, the main event picture, the title picture, but you're doing it under the guise of, this nostalgia, Team Hell No, going up against a hard-hitting tag team in the Bludgeon Brothers, and we'll see how it shakes out. But I do think what you had just initially said, going back to what you were talking about, the tables match, the visual. It's they're very big on getting visuals out there, and I think what you're going to see at the end of this match would be Daniel Bryan standing on the second turnbuckle, holding a belt in his hand, and putting that visual out there as the foreshadowing of what could be, to come down the road with him.
Okay. So as far as the tag team title match, are you picking Team Hell No?
I am picking Team Hell No.
I'm sticking with the Bludgeon Brothers on this.
And I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
I am going to, you know what? I'm going to say they do the Team Hell No, just for that quick little run, and then back to whomever they're going to put the SmackDown Tag Titles, whether it's the Bludgeon Brothers or they want to put them on Sanity early.
I could even see it being a situation where Team Hell No wins, and it lasts 2 weeks. They drop it on SmackDown before they even get to SummerSlam. But I'm thinking the tables match, I'm going with Sanity, but I'm going Team Hell No for the tag titles.
Yeah, or, if Team Hell No does win, I could see them losing it the next month at SummerSlam, getting that one big kind of payday out of them in regards to, that is definitely a formidable tag team to put on the SummerSlam card.
Yeah. And you want to have like kind of a small payoff on the filler pay-per-views. You kind of want to have that feel-good moment that makes you feel like, okay, the rest of it was shit, but at least Team Hell No walked away with the SmackDown Tag Title. So there is that, at least. You kind of want to do that in these kind of pay-per-views.
It's tough because I thought, we had talked about this when Team Hell No finally reunited a few weeks ago, and I had said that, kind of your point, Mike, it's a filler. It's kind of, you're killing time. You're not going to put Daniel Bryan in anything serious because, it's a filler pay-per-view, and the big payoff is next month or months to come. The more I think about it and the more, they're on the freaking promotional posters for this pay-per-view.
Right.
They are being billed as something legit, not as just something like nostalgic. Mm-hmm. To where for weeks I had the Bludgeon Brothers winning. Mm-hmm. Not anymore. Not anymore. I think Team Hell No wins this, and to your point that you said a few moments ago, I think they drop it next month because I think they're starting to plan for a multi-team tag team championship match at SummerSlam, to where if or when they lose it at SummerSlam, they don't lose anything from it because it's multiple teams.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to stick with Bludgeon Brothers just because I don't think they're ready yet to take that off of them, and they've built them up to be these monsters at this point, and they're still kind of making. Team Hell No is kind of like a serious yet like a funny gimmick, and I don't know that I'm convinced yet. I thought the image that I took more from it was going to be
getting comments on the Twitterverse already.
Retired beer man Nick Staskin. Good question there. He says, he
saw the shirt of my tribute to the most underutilized talent on the WWE roster.
Amen.
He says, at Big Mikey Smalls, at Heel Chrome, Lazy Booking, where the hell has Samoa Joe been? Has shakeup been worse for anyone other than Joe? I absolutely think that Joe has suffered the most from this.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Where has Samoa Joe been? You know, he came back and
It's been a rough year.
I still think, and we're going to talk about the title match, I'm still thinking that he's going to be an integral part going forward after this pay-per-view. Looking at the card, I don't think it was necessary. And with him coming back from an injury fairly recently, it's a time that you can rest him. That said, I miss Samoa Joe on the program every week. Obviously one of the best heels in the world and one of the best workers in the world.
No question.
But, yeah, we'll dive a little more into it when we get to the title match.
All right, so next up.
Did everybody pick Sanity for that tables match just
Yes.
to go back?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
figured
everybody
as much.
picked
Okay.
Sanity.
Yep, here we go.
All right, so the United States Championship. It is Jeff Hardy defending against Shinsuke Nakamura.
Michael, why don't you kick us off on this one?
I think this is where Nakamura gets his title.
Yeah, I agree. Also, Hardy's hurt, so they probably want to take the belt off him so he can heal.
And how amazing is it going to be with a heel Nakamura, no speak English, United Champion?
Oh, great.
I mean, it's like the irony of that whole thing with him as a heel is just going to be ridiculous.
Oh,
Absolutely ridiculous.
I agree with that.
I think he could just play that up like you would not believe.
He's done it. He's been playing everything up that
yeah.
way, and it's everything that I think they wanted to create with Jinder being the non-American champion for people to hate. But I think Nakamura is going to be a guy that people get behind too. Let's go to you guys over here.
Well, I was going to say, well, first off, this is my answer to the poll question.
It's mine. And again, I apologize. I put the wrong
I switched
title.
I switched it.
You did switch it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, the United States title is mine as well, but continue.
It's my answer to the poll question. I think it's the correct move because Nakamura needs a title arguably more than anyone else in the company at the moment because he's had so many chances to get a title in the last handful of months.
Right.
2, I think you're going to see this mirror what they did with Seth Rollins and the IC title, to where they built up that IC title for a long time and they gave it to someone they can trust. That's what Nakamura is going to do. He's going to win. He's not going to lose it for a long time because, A, it makes that title relevant again. He is one of the best heels in the company currently. And 2, he's a big enough star. And this is no discredit to a Jeff Hardy, a Jinder Mahal, a Bobby Roode. But when they've had the title, they didn't do anything with it. Shinsuke Nakamura is one of the guys they know they can trust. The crowd will get behind or against, and it's going to keep Nakamura doing things to where it's a perfect situation for the title and for the character in Nakamura.
Agreed.
Definitely agree on that. Also, like I said before, Hardy being hurt takes the belt off him so he can recover, and Nakamura winning this helps establish the U.S. belt again with the legitimate champion holding it. At the same time, too, you can also have Nakamura with the U.S. belt really help like any kind of mid-card matchup. It becomes high profile just as much as the WWE title. You know, and that's the same situation with the Intercontinental. The Intercontinental being the title of Raw, since the Universal title is a myth at this current moment. But
What title?
case in point. And
Sorry, did somebody say something? Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
but
Is
the
that the vacant title?
could be.
Not yet.
But with the U.S. Championship, I think it definitely Nakamura can help reestablish it. And you could have a rivalry between, if they decide to go with Rusev not being champion later on in the night, you have a Nakamura versus Rusev rivalry, and that could be a fun one to see.
That's a good way to go full face turn with Rusev as well.
Yeah.
Now,
no, I agree.
is Jeff Hardy legitimately hurt, or is he hurt, meaning he needs to take time off?
They were saying he had nerve damage of some kind. That's what they were running with a few weeks ago.
Which is entirely possible given the shoulder injury that he
Yeah.
just came back from.
I'm thinking it's probably more storyline. And I would venture to say that Jeff Hardy is a legitimate U.S. champion. But I agree with you in the sense with putting Nakamura there, a guy who is extremely high-profile guy who's much more over with the current crowd, the universe right now. I would agree with that. I think absolutely this is his time to get a title. If it doesn't happen now, there's a big problem then because you got a lot of rebuilding to do with Nakamura. This is Bray Wyatt 2.0 all over.
I also want to plant another seed on this as well. Who is the IWGP Intercontinental Champion?
Chris Jericho.
So do you think that there is not a snowball's chance in hell that Vince isn't going to put a championship on someone who is of Japanese descent and came from New Japan, especially given the fact that they have to go over there at some point within the next couple of months?
Sure.
It would be great because it'd be the best cross-promotion match they could have.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about a cross-promotion match. What I'm talking about
Yeah, no.
is Vince just looking at that saying, okay.
Chess, pawn for pawn.
Exactly. You're putting a title on one of my guys. I'm going to put a title on one of your guys. Let's see Let's see which champion goes further.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely, I could see that. My concern, though, is who works with Nakamura after this pay-per-view. I mean, Rusev was a great idea. I like that idea. I think it would be really good for both of them. But can Rusev take another title loss?
Well, if not him.
That's my concern.
He's got bigger plans.
I got bigger
He's got
plans
bigger
for
plans.
Samoa
No.
Joe.
No.
I got bigger plans for Samoa Joe.
All I'm saying is you asked who could work with him. That's all I'm saying.
But yet again, another guy who couldn't take another title loss.
Well, here's
True.
You could go with well, he's not in a program right now, is he? No, you could go with The Miz for a period of time. Oh no, you can't because it'd be heel versus heel. So you can't.
I mean,
do
you
that.
could.
Bryan.
They've done
Bryan.
it, but I don't. Daniel Bryan's a great name. Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
going to throw Daniel Bryan out there, but I was going to say, like, immediately after that, I was going to say that if they go with Team Hell No winning, they're going to have to hold that off.
And I like that because then that backs up my idea of my visual of the Bludgeon Brothers taking this match and kind of dissipating.
But here's another thing though that, as you alluded to earlier, if we start to see the separation of the New Day,
Big E.
I was thinking
No.
Kofi.
Yeah.
Kofi,
matches up better.
Kofi is a former United States champion who may
Yes.
want to set his sights back on that title.
Or that's great. You could do that, and with the visual of Big E down the line,
Right.
being a guy to step up into that.
Or you could actually have all three members of New Day try to go get it
Sure.
and have him just go through all three of them.
I want to, real quick, before we move on to the next match, I want to go back to your initial point that you brought up involving Jericho. I'll say right now, I'll write it down. My prediction is that at WrestleMania, it's Jericho versus Nakamura for that U.S. title. That's when Nakamura loses it.
Interesting.
So that's a nice, healthy reign right there
Yes.
for Nakamura. I like
Be.
that.
They'll put
I
him
like
up
that.
in the record books as far as length of time that he held a title. Jericho will be the one to take it away. Can you imagine that freaking program,
Could
Nakamura
be.
and Jericho?
That would be great, too.
Oh, good Lord.
Before we go to the next match, I'm going to hit the Facebook fam. David Rosca says, hello, what's up, David? Tom Arnone, Thomas Kennedy McMahon Arnone, over here, says, what's up, fam? Joe Spaziano, he says, how can the Universal Champion... Yeah, sorry, buddy, I
Go
messed
back to
that up.
David Rosca for a second. David, my friend,
Oh, boy.
do yourself a big favor. Just go check out Mandy Rose's Instagram.
Oh, God. I saved that picture to my thing. It's already on my phone.
See?
It's a great picture. Great
Boom!
Picture. Great picture. Rob Povia says, SmackDown Women's Championship, Mela is garbage.
Correct.
I do think that that's going to change time. We're going to get into that match actually next. Rosca says, what's up, boys? DC will kill Lesnar. As I told you, Lesnar, worst Universal Championship. I don't know if I'd say worst, but it's not good. Tom Arnone says, best wrestling talk, hashtag best talk, wrestling talk in the biz. Frank
story.
Vespi says, hey, yo. Answer for me is going to be the IC title. Interesting. James Wilder says, SmackDown World Championship. It's Rusev Day. Could be. Frank Vespi, birthday boy in the house. That's right. It's Maddie's birthday.
What's up,
Maddie's
guys?
birthday today. What's that, 25?
Yep.
25 going on
Oh,
45.
boy. Ralph Delavecchio, Rondo on the ones and twos. Talking about you.
I'll explain that during
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
break.
Frank Vespi says also throwing a too sweet symbol up. David Rosca says Asuka will win the SmackDown Women's Championship and Seth will win the IC title. Sanity will win the pre-show. Greg,
So what is this? Every title is going to change on this thing?
Apparently. I mean, that's a great way to make the filler pay-per-view go, holy shit. But I don't know if that kind of fucks up your plans for SummerSlam.
Greg
Just a
says,
little
great,
bit.
you ruined SmackDown for me again. Guess I don't have to watch it now. You don't have to watch it, buddy. He was being aggressive. Raw women's.
He was being aggressive. There's
Raw
a story
women-
behind that, too.
Raw Women's title goes back to Nia on Sunday. Well, interesting. Hunter Shannon, it's been a long time, man. How you guys been?
What's up,
Good,
Hunter?
Hunter.
What's up,
Welcome
Hunt?
back, buddy. We appreciate it. Roscoe's going on about how bad Brock Lesnar is. Sean Spellman, Nakamura has put in work, and the grueling matches, he should win this match. I think we all absolutely agree with
100%,
that.
yes.
Yes.
He's talking NHL 16. Maddie, I'm playing NHL 16. Florida 2. Flyers, nothing. John
Join back in at 10 o'clock. And you
Jamie Smith says John Cena. Just John Cena. That's okay.
well, I
He's
guess
here,
if,
but you can't say it.
if the question was who could have great matches with Nakamura,
Oh.
then the answer is
If that was-
John Cena.
That's, you know what? That's a great thing.
And he does not fall under brand because he's a free agent.
That's right. I'm sorry. Free agent
John
Cena.
Jared Allen Baird says, "Hey Chrome, the Jeff injury is legit.
Okay.
I've heard from multiple places. He couldn't even run last night. You can tell that it's real. Thank you for the information. We appreciate that."
Yes, absolutely.
Bob Anderson says, "What's up, Mike? Catching
up,
you
Bob?
from Florida." Well, thank you for chiming in from Florida.
Bob's a good dude and a semi-closet wrestling
That's
fan.
all right. It's time to get out of the closet, buddy. Rosca says she's so hot next to Trish. Talking about Mandy Rose. Says, I saw the Mandy photo. She's so hot next to her twin sister. I guess that's Trish Stratus. My man loves himself some Trish Stratus.
Roscoe about to
Some
make a deposit at
Mandy
the
Rose.
Spank Bank.
Oh, boy.
Boy, I bet
Banks,
you. If he, had a,
banks are open.
boy, if, he,
Thank you very much.
if he had a time machine, I bet you he'd take Mandy Rose back to see like the 2000 Trish and just put them right next to each
Oh,
other.
boy.
And then he'd just go to
the
town.
the TNA Trish.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Test and Albert.
But somebody.
No.
So somebody.
No.
Somebody bought. Oh God. No. So somebody brought up. The next match we had actually was the SmackDown Women's Title. Carmella and Asuka. James Ellsworth hanging above the ring in a shark cage. I'll kick this one off. I think this is finally when Asuka gets her win. But in terms of the poll question, I said U.S. title because I absolutely think Nakamura needs it even more than Asuka. But Asuka needs a win too, bad
She
too at this
does.
point.
She's taken 2 straight pay-per-view losses.
Yeah, well, she's lost. She has also lost to Charlotte Flair for the women's title. She's lost to Carmella for the women's title.
Yeah, her the 2
Let
straight,
me ask you this though: is this a classic case of the WWE machine breaking them entirely down to build them back up? Could we see the old Jim Cornette, J.J. Dillon drop the foreign object out of the cage into the ring?
Probably.
Carmella picks it up, uses it on Asuka, gets a 1-2-3. It's not a clean win, so it doesn't really hurt Asuka, but you keep dropping her down little by little by little so that when they do finally strap the rocket ship to her, poof.
No, because I'm thinking in your terms, but I'm looking at the way this has gone. Now, Ellsworth came back. Carmella's happy he came back, but now it's already turning into the I'm bossing Ellsworth around kind of a deal, right? So I'm looking at it, and I always say I'm a proponent of whoever gets the leg up going into the pay-per-view usually doesn't win the match.
Correct.
So looking at the way it was booked on SmackDown where Carmella ultimately got the last laugh, I could see Ellsworth drop something down from the shark cage, but it's Asuka who gets a hold of it.
And I could absolutely see that.
Going back on that too, though, the way they booked that, they should have done the opposite, where Ellsworth says like, "I'm the one who keeps the belt on you, so I do what I want, and I'm bossing you around now." That'd be an interesting role
But that's-
reversal. It'd be silly, but it'd be one of those things.
But here's the thing. I don't even think it's silly. It's just that they spend so much time building up this women's revolution
yeah,
to have a character as shitty, scrawny, bitchy looking as Ellsworth trying to boss a woman around. Like,
It wouldn't come off.
Your shareholders would be on the phone with Vince on Wednesday morning going, what in the blue hell are you doing?
Yeah, it's because you can only do that.
Because you're basically it's basically a freaking advertisement for domestic abuse.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's like if it was like if it was a male situation, you could do the opposite and it wouldn't be a big deal. But you're right on that one because it's the opposite sex. Yeah, you gotta go.
No, you're right. If it was another guy,
yeah,
you're damn right. Absolutely, but a woman, nah.
Yeah.
Mike Ray says Goldberg, LOL. Doug Zeke,
Mike Ray.
Doug Zeke says, ugh. And Bob Anderson says, what about an Ellsworth swerve? I know what we just talked about. I think that they're just catching up on
What do you got, Ryan?
What if? Okay.
Dun, dun,
Ryan.
dun.
When Ryan has a thought, Ryan always goes, what if?
What if I told you?
Yes. What if I told you? All right. Because they've been billing that the whole center of this storyline is not Asuka, it's not Carmella, it's Ellsworth. They put him in a freaking shark cage.
Okay.
What if he's not even the main storyline at the end of the day? What if he's just a distraction? Cue
The red herring. Okay, I got you.
the Iconics. To where this forms.
This is
We
why.
understand.
This is why.
We understand.
Yeah, we understand.
Yes. It's going to
There's
be.
a reason why there's two eyes in Iconics.
Yes. It's the Iconics, it's Ellsworth, and it's Carmella. That forms the team. Carmella gets out with a win, but she doesn't lose any. Asuka doesn't lose anything. Then next month, because I think the next champion is not going to be Asuka, it's going to be Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch wins at SummerSlam. So it forms a little team, and that way after Carmella drops the belt, she has something to do with her little team. Asuka doesn't lose anything, and then they can move on.
It makes a lot of sense.
I don't know if I want that. I'm just saying that's why I think it's going to happen.
I just personally feel like, I know you say we always talk about, well, you can protect them with this, but I mean, it's a lot of losses. For
I just
Asuka
don't.
at this point.
Don't think her first title win is going to come on this level of a pay-per-view.
And that's possible.
I think it's got to be either SummerSlam or WrestleMania.
But to me, like, why even have her in the title match at this point? Then on the pay-per-view, have somebody else do the job. Have Naomi go out there and do the job.
And you'll get no argument out of me at all on that. No question about it.
That's why I said this is.
But it does bring back
This
to,
is another Bray Wyatt. We had Bray Wyatt 2.0. This is Bray Wyatt 3.0.
But it brings back to what Mike was saying earlier about breaking down someone. And to that point, too, Vince has already said it before that anything that happens in NXT didn't happen in WWE.
Right. It's classic.
So,
it's classic Vince, where he will just break you all the way down to build you all the way back up.
That's what he did with Nakamura.
Right.
So it's, I mean, to see that happen with Asuka would not be a shocker in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying it's the smart thing to do, but it's the thing Vince does.
I just think, and I 100% agree with you. I just think and I think where your mind is right now is that to even an untrained eye, Asuka is just so far head and shoulders above so many of the other women that it's almost not believable how she's losing to them.
I mean, they made her look like an absolute fool in the last pay-per-view by staring at Ellsworth for 30 seconds.
Well, that I think that was just like a terrible miscue on a spot. I think they meant to make that shorter. If they didn't want to make that shorter, then that's just bad booking. But
I don't know. I think that went exactly as it was supposed to go, and it
which
did
is
not
bad
look
booking
good at
in
all.
that category. But
Yeah.
this is WWE.
Is that bad booking or is that lazy
booking.
booking?
Well, here's the weird thing, okay? So at the moment on SmackDown, who would you say is the top heel and the top babyface women's wrestler?
For me, it's still Charlotte is probably the top face.
Okay, and who would you say is second?
Probably Asuka.
See, I would.
See, I'd say
disagree.
Becky.
I think it's Becky,
I think it's
especially
Becky.
the way it's going to be next month. That's the problem we're in right now. Asuka is not even in the top. She's not in the top two. I think eventually she's getting flipped to heel. I think this is what they're building to.
Asuka still consistently gets a big pop. There has been a lot of hot and cold for Becky. I mean, there was a time, and it wasn't long after she was the women's champion, that like people like her and Sasha Banks, who were so hot 6 months before, were getting no reaction from the crowd. I haven't seen that with Asuka yet. She still gets a massive pop. People love the entrance and the removing of the mask and all that.
Yeah.
So
But-
I hear what you're saying, but just for me, I think Becky's 3, but I still put Asuka slightly above.
Here's the thing, though, with WWE. A lot of times they have a tendency to ignore the reaction and just go with their plan
that's
nonetheless. Fair. And again,
Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Roman.
Yeah. I'd be totally fine,
there are
by
very
the
few
way.
audibles being called anymore these days.
I'd totally be fine with Becky Lynch being the next women's champion if it's not Asuka.
She does need it, though.
I still feel like they missed the boat by putting the Money in the Bank on Becky, but unless we see Ronda versus.
And I'll throw you an example, and
Alexa.
I understand what you're saying when it comes to reactions, but
Sure.
I'll use the example of Nakamura. It didn't stop them from flipping him, and I can argue as well, the best time to turn someone heel is when they are the cheered the most, because it's the most shocking.
It's when it's least expected.
But
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to dig a little deeper and almost into like the mic bag here, though, because that's a fair point. And I think Asuka could be a great heel. But all your foreign wrestlers now are heels. For them, all your big foreign wrestlers are now are heels. Top names there: Jinder Mahal, heel. Monster heel gets booed. You've now turned Nakamura heel. Everybody who they drive the machine around internationally.
Rusev back to face.
We don't know yet that they're doing that.
Come on,
I believe it.
Come on.
I believe that he should be. I believe that it could be happening, but I have no faith in this
They're
company.
aligning Lana with Naomi, which then makes the full Rusev face turn.
Well, listen, they had Nikki Bella work as a heel with the ultimate John Cena face. So let's.
All right, fair point.
The man who introduces
The
them is
Usos
Aiden
were heels.
English, and he's a rapper.
The Usos were the heels, and Naomi was a face for how long? I mean, it's not necessarily.
All right. You got me. Damn it.
Plus, it's also WWE.
Damn it.
It's also WWE, and a lot of times what seems logical does not logic to them. We got to remember this.
there's logic, and then there's WWE logic.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, for the people like us who are the smarter marks that they call us. Well, not really, but for people who are like that, because I don't necessarily think this way, but we've talked about these kinds of things. People could look at that and say Vince is bitter about NJPW with Chris Jericho, and now he's turning all the Japanese wrestlers heels.
Well, you can also wear a tinfoil hat, but at the end of the day, it's like
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with the tinfoil hat either, but I don't disagree with that. Because it could be Vince basically just saying, like, okay, I let Jericho go do that thing, and now you want to milk it for as long as you can, and, oh, by the way, you're running shows in the United States. Yeah, I'm going to basically take every Japanese wrestler and make them look like assholes.
Could be.
It could.
It could also go back to the formula of every time they've done it, it's worked.
And that's also true.
Yes.
I mean,
they both could lose, and it could be an underlining thing of Vince saying, "I'm going to our guy's a champion there. Their guys can't. Their wrestlers can't get over here."
Yeah, but the thing about that is
I don't think he's that petty, but you never know.
Well, I mean, it is Vince McMahon, but at the same time too, you're kind of allowing them. You're pretty much giving them an open forum to say, you know what, when your contract's up, go back like that. Because think about it, like, would you? Don't get me wrong. Scott Hall put it the best way: beat me every night, but pay me. He didn't care about wins or losses. I'm not saying the money isn't there, but also sometimes people who like to perform, they like to, at least be utilized properly. If they feel like they're not being utilized properly and they're doing job after job, being treated like shit, you might want to go back to the company that's going to utilize you properly and say, yeah, you were still a big six out there. I'm going to go back to where I was a big six. Because you made a lot of money in the payday with WWE. If you're smart, you stash it. And at the same time, you can go back to NJPW, make less money, but at the same time, still take bookings everywhere you go, still be utilized as a top main event star. You're back in your home country on top of that, too. And you're at a promotion that already has your legacy already intact. You can also go back to
yeah, but now he's torn him down in the United States.
Right, and here's the thing. It's like Jericho always says, championships are great, but the only one that means anything is your first. After that, every time they give you a belt, it's just a prop. It's a prop for you to move on to the next act. Mm-hmm. So it's a situation where, yes, they do need to put the first championship on Asuka and Nakamura at some point. It's just a matter of when and how. And I do think Nakamura is in a much more prime position to get one now than Asuka is.
I would agree.
Just for the reasons that I said, that they've already broken Nakamura down and they're building him back up. Whereas Asuka I actually think Asuka needs to lose this match to Charlotte to kind of bottom out. Or not Charlotte, I mean
Carmella.
Sorry, yeah, C. You know, they all start with a C.
U.S. title, Universal title.
They almost start with
Wait a
you.
minute.
We all
Hold
make
on,
those
hold on.
mistakes.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about? There's no Universal Championship. I don't know what the hell you're
Exactly.
talking about.
Fair
But
point.
I think she needs to lose this to Carmella to finally bottom out, to where they can then just start to that slow build back up.
Especially because, like, when you talk about it being meaningful, and if they do have big plans for Asuka for a long time, would it be meaningful compared to other situations to have her win with a guy up in a freaking shark cage against Carmella, of all people? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other ways for it to mean more, especially 1 month after her looking absolutely ridiculous when Ellsworth came back.
Well, you could do something like this instead of having it where a gimmick where Ellsworth is in a shark cage. You can easily have it where if I don't beat Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship, I leave. And that puts a whole different spin on it where it's just like, holy shit, if Carmella actually wins, Asuka's no longer here.
I don't think you need to go to that extreme.
Especially because she just came up. It's too soon.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't do that.
Are we spending way too much time on this?
Well, no, it's an interesting conversation.
I'm just throwing it out there because, you know, they build Asuka up as the Ultimate Warrior. It's just like for her to feel like she's losing to someone that's less than her, which I'm pretty sure that's, if you're the Asuka character, that's how you view this. Sure. So,
Matty, it's a work, brother.
that's why I'm saying from the Asuka character.
It's still real to him.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Put the Iconics with Carmella, turn Asuka heel, put her with Paul Heyman, in 2 months win the title. That's it.
Matt,
That's it.
You know what I want to do is I legitimately would love to just throw like 18 wrestlers into a hat and just have Maddie just start drawing the names out of the hats and be like, book a show right now. Literally just give me 7 matches and book every one of them.
We should do that. We should do that 1 week. We'll do that 1 week.
We should do that with like all of us having like, okay, so guest booker this week is going to be Mataraki. Here you go, bud. Have fun.
We'll do that after SummerSlam.
Yeah,
We'll definitely
That'll
do
be a fun show. That'll be a real fun show. All right, so next up, we have the Raw Tag Team titles, the Deleter of Worlds. Yes. Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy against the B Team.
The team of bees.
Against Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Who have done, in my opinion, hilarious impressions.
I thought they've been
both
great.
of
Man,
them.
Bo, I mean, it's his brother, but man, his Bray is spot on. It's so good.
It's dare we say, Brother Dallas and Son of Perfect. Nearly perfect.
So good.
Son of Dallas. Or Brother Dallas and Son of Perfect, the team of bees.
But you know what the funny part is, though? A part of me thinks, like, maybe Bo's the one who came up with the Bray character, not Bray. Maybe they were just sitting around and they were drunk or something, and he just said, you know what you should do, bro? You should totally be this guy. Just pull that right out of there, and then Bray just shows up like, you know what? I'm going to do it and see what happens. Sure enough, it goes on to become one of the biggest gimmicks ever. That'd be hilarious if it turns out that's the actual backstory.
One of the most underutilized gimmicks ever.
Absolutely.
Too. But
Although, you know what's crazy about this is if you look at, I mean, and this kind of goes back to the back. On one side of the ring, you've got Husky Harris, and on the other side of the ring, you've got Michael McGillicuddy.
Oh, God.
They're the same NXT class from when NXT was,
2011?
the game show,
Oh, God.
if you will. How ironic is that?
Class of 2011. My God.
Who's the jackass who gave Curtis Axel the Michael McGillicuddy name?
That was his NXT name.
Yeah, but I just want to know who gave him that name.
It's creative.
That's stupid. Like, seriously. Seriously, I want to find the writer, put a bullet in him. Like,
yeah,
seriously.
it is what it is.
Am I the only one who thinks the B team might actually win?
I actually think they have a shot, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a far leap of the imagination.
There's a part of me that says that they could definitely win this match, but they've gotten over every time.
Yeah.
I can't, and it's possible. I just can't remember a storyline where a team or a guy gets over every single time, even on just, like segments in getting the last laugh at the end of a segment, and then wins the match, gets the payoff at the end of the pay-per-view.
I'm just thinking, like, if they win, what do you do with them?
The only person that remotely
That's the problem.
the only person that they ever do that is Braun Strowman, but that's just because he's Strowman.
But even Strowman didn't get over every single time. He lost to Roman. He lost to Lesnar.
to Brock.
There's 2 levels to this. Number one, to your point, Mike, that's perfect with their storyline. Everything's going right with them. 2,
It could happen.
to your point, what do they do with them? So what's been their go-to thing of how they've won, especially the way they became number 1 contenders? They really didn't do anything. They won by accident, right?
Okay, fair point.
So what if, and people could say this is too soon, what if Bray Wyatt turns on Matt Hardy or vice versa? Then whoever gets beaten up gets pinned by Bo or Curtis Axel. They, quote-unquote, win by doing nothing. They capitalize on the opportunity. It's the shock. Oh, my God, we're on an all-time high. The next 2 weeks, they're having celebrations. Oh, my God, we did it. Then they drop the title to the Authors of Pain.
But that's the thing, though. I just thought of it, too. What if the Authors of Pain come out and wreck Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy and cost them the tag team titles? It's the same thing. It's just one didn't turn on the other, but the B team still did nothing and walked away with the belts.
This is the problem. If they did that, there would have to be a program on the side with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy and the Authors of Pain. It wasn't for anything. It wasn't for a title. So, and then it would allow the B team to go on with some. It would just create too many little feuds.
But you could still have a multi-team match at SummerSlam, and the B team still walks away with the tag belts, and it still shocks the world that it happens.
I understand, but again, like I said, with the SmackDown tag team picture, I have a multi-tag team match with that
you
one.
wouldn't
So
have it for two. Okay,
in my world, that's too much. That's too multi-tag.
Too many.
Why do I feel like the only thing missing is Teddy Long walking through the door right now going, holla, holla, holla. We're going to have tag team matches.
You tag him with The Undertaker.
How do you think this is going to happen this week, brother? That was very Teddy-esque this week, that 10-man tag team match.
It was.
So where do you think this is going?
I think it's been a fun build-up of the B team to the pay-per-view. I think they go into the match, and it's probably a pretty decent match. I think there's a bunch of hope spots, and in the end, Bray winds up hitting Sister Abigail on Axel, 1, 2, 3, Dunzo, and they're just on to the next program.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Mike on that. What I do want to see, and I've talked about it, the spot I want to see so bad, is Matt Hardy do the wait and have some reference of Bray and Bo being brothers, like some off the cuff reference of it.
Or it may be a backstage.
Eater of worlds, brother of Dallas. The resemblance is wonderful. Yay. Something along those lines. I'd love that. I'd mark out for that. I might pop for that more than anything in the rest of the night. But that would be great. Couple Facebook things before we go.
Or actually, what would be really like total insider-esque is if somehow there was some conversation where they started weaving in references to IRS.
Oh, God.
And certain members of each one of their families owing the tax man.
Oh, it'd be so good. I would love to see. I think it would be great. And I'm telling you, it'd be one of the biggest pops of the night. Hunter Shannon says, I miss talking football with you guys. Football's around the corner, buddy. Make sure you're coming back. We have a lot of football talk all across the board here on A2D Radio. Get ready for it. David Roska.
Sorry, it's my frustration.
What happened?
He gives up a 2-run homer. He's at 102 pitches with 2 outs in the 7th, and they're pulling him. Bases are empty. At least let him try to get out of the inning. Yeah. Sorry, bro.
Oh, no, you're cool.
You know how I am with
Phillies
this.
talk. I hear you, brother. David Roska says B-Team will win the tag team championships.
Yes, David.
No.
And then he talks more about the Universal title. Hunter says he'll definitely be there to talk football with us.
Awesome.
We do talk football every Tuesday night. That's kind of the one show you're guaranteed to hear football even in the off season. So if you want to get a little taste of that,
and
lazy booking. Birds of a Feather.
Sneak preview. There may be some Eagles talk on Tom and Mike Game in the PM next week.
There you go.
And the fix
Really?
as well.
And the fix.
guaranteed.
I've never heard of that. Like football talk on the fix, time Mike 8 in the PM, birds of a feather. Just sounds shocking. to
We
me.
get around. We get around.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all year round, but these guys always, even if it's not in the criteria, it ends up some kind of an Eagles
yeah.
talk at some point. So definitely make sure you're checking out the rest of the shows across the board if you guys are football fans. But yeah, so why don't you hit a little bit of the YouTube before we
Sure.
move on?
All right.
We got love for you, YouTube. You guys get us exclusively the second half.
All right, so David Roska chimed in earlier with Brock Lesnar will get his ass kicked by DC.
You know what? If Roscoe's double dipping, don't read his comments on YouTube. That's right, David. You get one platform at a time.
You're in timeout right now, David.
You're in YouTube timeout.
So, Rob Povia chiming in, saying, love how Team Hell No is back.
It's been fun.
That
It's
is
fun,
awesome. To have that little nostalgia feel.
What I didn't like was that at the same time they bought Dr. Shelby back.
Oh,
It was absolutely terrible.
do you have to bring that up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, go
God,
ahead.
that's
Let's move
awful.
on.
Anyway, Y Society, he was chiming in saying SmackDown Women's title, U.S. title, and possibly the IC title and the Raw tag titles, everything else is staying the same. So he pretty much saying we're having a shit ton of title changes. So that would be interesting to see.
Not impossible.
No, it's not. It'd be dumb, but it's not impossible.
And then, of course, he's chiming in about NXT, Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era, Baszler versus Sane, EC3 versus Dream, Cole versus Ricochet, Ciampa versus Black, and Gargano is the expected card for TakeOver Brooklyn 4. You know already what title match is which.
Okay. Did any of you guys happen to watch NXT last night? Because the match between Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain, where Undisputed Era regains the championships, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like 18, 20 minutes, just nonstop action. Like,
NXT's on fire now. If you watched EC3 and Gargano last week, that was a phenomenal match. So, I mean, NXT's really ramping it back up.
It almost makes you wish that they would just trade like booking styles. Like, can the WWE kind of be like that a little
No,
bit?
it's a different product,
you know,
though.
but unfortunately, no.
But listen, I mean, let's be honest. It's a different product,
yeah,
and many of the gimmicks they've tried to book it similarly or the same on the main roster, and it hasn't gotten over. You can't. It has to be a different entity to be what it is.
yeah.
All right, so next up, my side again. They already did the welcoming committee last year, and they don't need another one. Carmella wouldn't fit with them. They have different
I
gimmicks.
agree.
That is two Brodos.
With the Iconics?
Yes, with
Okay,
the last-minute booking on the women's title
Then
match.
put her with Mandy Rose and Sonya. Quick
I-
fix.
I've been saying that for months
Yeah, I
when
know.
Absolution ended. So
I'm telling you, I think she's going to have a team after Sunday.
All right, next up, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam. And then he also goes on to say,
Perfectly happy with that.
he says, B Team are this year's Brazongo. They won't win.
Okay.
I would agree. I agree.
I disagree.
I agree, Ryan.
I disagree.
Shut up, Ryan.
I disagree. Shut up, Saxton.
Shut up, Saxton.
Shut up, Saxton.
In regards, and we'll talk about it, Ryan knows when I said I had bigger plans for Samoa Joe, that's been my plan. So I agree with that. Moving on with the card,
All right.
Senor.
Next up on the card is the Raw Women's title match, Extreme Rules style, because there's actually an Extreme Rules match in Extreme Rules. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax.
So this, I see Ronda obviously playing a part in this match, but I think it's going to end up in the end costing Nia the match to build up to Ronda, Alexa, SummerSlam. And I could see this match possibly main eventing or co-main eventing SummerSlam. Absolutely. So I'm going to go with Alexa on this one.
I will say Alexa. Only reason because also you know something's going to happen because Ronda has bought a ticket to the event since she is serving a quote-unquote 30-day suspension. So obviously something's going to happen there. So Alexa's probably going to find a way to win.
Roscoe apologized for double dipping. You can double dip just so we manage the
Dude,
comments.
we're totally busting your
Yeah.
balls on that. Come on, dude.
Yeah. You're good, buddy. You don't have to apologize.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize.
But now you're in jail for that comment.
Exactly. Wait, did he comment in both places? Probably.
Hold on. Let's see.
He apologized on both.
No, he did not,
all right.
actually. Scared him off on the double dipping.
Damn it! Damn it, Rosca.
Mine's easy. It's going to be Alexa. They're going to build to a triple threat, and I do think it's going to co-main event. It's going to be Nia. It's going to be Ronda. It's going to be Alexa.
Okay.
It will be Ronda from the seats with a foreign object to the legs of Nia in an Extreme Rules match, no DQ. Takes away Nia's base, makes her a little more susceptible to Alexa's offense. Alexa wins, and as you said, sets up Alexa Ronda for SummerSlam.
I almost feel like you could see something where maybe Ronda does come in and initially goes after Alexa, and then Nia tries to kind of pull her off, and Ronda just goes apeshit and takes them both down.
And that's possible as
And,
well.
and Alexa, in the end, is the first one to get up and cover for the pin. I think that would be a realistic
That
possibility,
actually that makes
which
a
would
lot of
play
sense.
into a possible triple threat then, because now Nia would have heat with Ronda as well.
See, that I think that's definitely going to happen. Just because if Ronda only goes after Nia, I'm afraid people are going to take that as, oh, did Ronda turn heel? Because she would then in turn be helping heel, in Alexa Bliss. I think she goes after both of them, and Alexa picks up the pieces.
And what did we just see? We saw her going after Alexa, and Kurt tried to break it up.
Yeah.
Right.
And Kurt felt the wrath of of Ronda. So it kind of just plays right into what got her suspended to begin with from Raw.
Her temper gets the best of her and helps Alexa
I'm
retain.
loving Ronda right now, by the way. I'm loving everything she's doing.
Yes.
I talked about it with you guys the last time I was here with the social media stuff and the vignettes and everything like that. Like, she is 100% buying into her character.
What do you guys think? If you guys have seen the new WWE, what's it, 2K18, 19, or 18?
Oh, with the Ronda commercial.
What do you guys think of the Ronda commercial? Did you see it?
I have not.
Okay,
I don't think I have.
It's actually
good.
pretty cool.
It's pretty good. I like it.
It's like her going in the locker room and suiting up, but you can hear her
Yeah.
talking with Rowdy in the background.
Yeah, it's like
Oh.
Piper kind of some of his like kind of famous sound clips, kind of talking, and she's just got his jacket that she's gotten from him, hanging up and kind of looking at it, and then she's kind of pulling her gear out while you hear Piper's voice in the background. Thought it was awesome. I liked it. It's one of the better ones they've done.
It's like I really,
Instead of the
I
we're
really
gonna
want
burn
to
a
see
bunch
it
of
now.
stuff down. Yeah, it's good. I'm telling you. Check it out on the break. It's great.
right.
Do you give your winner on that match?
Yeah, Bliss.
Okay. move on.
All right. So next up, the singles match between Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Bobby Lashley. I don't know why, but I just have a weird feeling that they're going to end up putting Bobby over in this. By the way, possibly the best segment all week. For as terrible as a lot of their booking has been, I actually feel like this feud has been good. You're starting to see Bobby Lashley as Bobby Lashley has been. And I thought the opening segment with them two, and a lot of times they get carried away doing that kind of stuff, but I thought this was absolutely fucking beautifully executed.
I 100% agree.
I do like how they've been building up Bobby now. They're finally starting to tap into more of that TNA persona that we weren't seeing before. But unfortunately, I'm going to go safe, and I'm going to say WWE is going to do the stupid thing like they always do, and Reigns
It's probably
does
going to be Roman.
beat
I just want to be
Lashley.
different. I'm going with Lashley.
I don't want it to be Reigns. It's not who I want to win, though. It's who I think WWE is going to back, and they're going to back their regular horse, and they're going to go with Reigns.
I think we get a non-finish on this, and they keep it moving.
Oh, so you
Good.
think of the schmaz.
I
okay.
think that they're just kind of like hitting their stride with this.
Yeah.
And it's been so good over the last few weeks. I think you go to either a double DQ, a double count out, some outside interference somewhere, something that just allows these guys to not resolve anything and just keep it going.
I don't mind the schmaz. I like that, actually.
I'm going to let you go because I like where your head's at, and I have a follow-up to that, but I want you to go first.
Mine's kind of a follow-up as well. Well, number one, I'm afraid if they end up keeping this match until the last match, as the main event, the main event, this finish will not happen. But if it's in the middle of the show,
Reigns must be the main event,
or at the beginning of the show, then I'll go with a prediction, kind of like yours. It's going to be a non-finish, but they're going to pin each other at the same time. going to be a double
Okay.
pin. Because the whole thing is, I can make an argument that neither of these guys can afford a loss. But if it's the main event, I'm going to go with Lashley winning because Lashley cannot lose right now.
Well, there's no one of the few matches with no stipulation in this match, which leaves open for a obvious
Double
clear,
DQ, double count.
some
out,
kind of
yeah.
a schmaz finish. I truly believe, and I was going to save it when we mentioned Brock in UFC. I think they're going to just strip Brock of the title. I think Brock's done with WWE at this point, and I could see them carrying it on and this being the title match at SummerSlam.
By the way, does anyone feel like that there's only one Extreme Rules match at Extreme Rules and that's kind of stupid?
Well, it's kind of a gimmicky thing now. It's almost like TLC. They just kind of work it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Real
Pay-per-view
quick
makes
question.
sense.
This isn't when Dean Ambrose comes back, right?
No.
Okay, good.
You won't.
Oh,
you
God.
won't see him until either
Probably SummerSlam. or right
SummerSlam
after.
or the night after.
Just making
That
sure.
would ruin his return if they bring him back too early.
Let's just mention the next match.
Sure.
And our winners, Baron Corbin or Finn Balor, because I don't care about the feud.
Well,
Finn Balor.
it's
It's
Balor.
It's Balor, yeah.
Steel cage match, Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens.
Strowman.
Strowman. We can kind of jump past that one as well.
Unless
Oh boy.
it's a not so clean finish where, let's say that Owens is trying to go over the top. Braun decides, well, I'm just going to walk out the door and beat you out the door. And someone comes out and holds the door closed or tries to lock it or whatever. And
We know it's not going to be Sami Zayn or Chris Jericho.
right, but what I'm saying is that, you say that,
Oh, sure.
it gets, there's somebody either locks the door or holds it closed or whatever. Owens hits the floor first, and then you see Braun just literally rip a piece of the cage off and beat the hell out of Kevin Owens, whoever else is out there, get all of his heat back, but maybe not necessarily win the match.
You could do that, or you can have him accidentally knock Owens out before him.
Throw him through the cage?
Something
Or-
like that.
I
yeah.
think I just came up with a finish, and I would love it if they did it. Kevin Owens goes to the top. He tries to escape over it. Strowman catches him. He realizes, I don't really care about this. He throws Kevin Owens over into the announce table. Kevin Owens, quote-unquote, wins, but he's literally unconscious
Through the
in the
table.
table. So it's kind of this comedy,
I'd be
Braun
down for
Strowman-esque finish. Kevin Owens wins by default.
I'd be down with that.
That's
I think Strowman, but I wouldn't hate that at all. Should we save the other two for the next side?
They are the two high profile.
Whatever you guys want to do.
Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins.
The Iron
Dolph.
Man match.
I want to say Dolph. In fact, I'm going to say Dolph, but I'm going to give you a different spin on this.
Okay.
It's not going to be Drew McIntyre who has any impact on the finish whatsoever. However, there is a certain drifter who has unfinished business with Seth Rollins.
Could be. Who's done nothing
Who we haven't seen
aside from
hardly at all
right?
since Seth Rollins beat him by cheating.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dolph, but I could see Seth winning this and that setting up a program with Seth and McIntyre as a follow-up for SummerSlam. I think that would be a great match too. And the WWE title match, guys.
I'll throw it out here first because somebody's got to pop the cherry. It's going to be AJ.
Yes.
But he will make Rusev look like $1 million.
Rusev is great anyway.
It's-
These guys are going to have a phenomenal match.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal match to the point where people are going to be going, holy shit, I didn't realize Rusev was that good. In the end, AJ wins. I think AJ winning also gives the handshake at the end with Aiden English coming into the ring, wanting to know what the hell that's all about. AJ leaves. Rusev face. Aiden English gets left laying to end the show.
Could be that. Or Samoa Joe could come out.
Or we could see
We
Samoa
haven't
Joe.
seen Joe for a reason. Samoa Joe could definitely come out and lay out AJ Styles very easily. Choke him out. I haven't seen you. Yeah, you haven't forgot about me, have you, buddy?
I'm going to say it'll be AJ. I think Joe will have something to do with the outcome, and Styles does retain the title. I think Rusev's probably going to go back to mid-card. This was just kind of to say, hey, here's your main event. But, I don't think I picked my Intercontinental title.
Oh, I thought you picked off. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. Actually, I'm going to say Dolph because I'm still holding out. Actually, you know what? I switched that. Sorry. I'm saying Rollins because I'm still holding out hope that they will do Rollins versus Finn at some point, and Finn gets over on him. Because to me, that's a great rivalry that we've seen, but it's even better that it went away for a little while. It can come back.
No, I think Finn will get the win over him when he's a champion. Whether it's WWE, Universal, whatever.
I'll keep mine really simple. If it was 2 months ago, I would have gone Rusev. AJ's definitely going to win. He's got a long title run that he's built, that he's going to keep going towards. I think this is going to be the main event of the pay-per-view. I think it's going to end with AJ celebrating. Samoa Joe jumps him. It's going to be the stare-off between the two. So
I want to just latch onto something you just said there about AJ and a long title run brewing. So Brock just recently beat the 4-3-4. I think as soon as they get that title off of Brock, they're obviously the clock stops there. I think AJ actually goes on
Could be
to beat that one because I think they've just kind of had it with Brock.
Wouldn't shock me. Last couple quick comments on Facebook, then we're going to jump off of Facebook. Patrick Gannon. Patrick says, and who won on Monday night? Boom. Rosca says, Lashley's a former 6-time world champion. And did you hear the best Pritchard impersonation, Jerry Jarrett on Something to Wrestle With? That's a great show, guys, if you haven't seen it on the network. Patrick Gannon says, ask Mikey what does boom mean. I'll ask you during the break. And he says, boom, boom. Rosca says Rollins will win it again and should have his second Raw in a rematch. I don't know what the second half was, buddy. I'm sorry. Rollins should have won the second in a rematch last June. So he corrected himself.
Okay.
Guys, great stuff on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook and Periscope. Good stuff over here on the YouTube. Make the jump. Click the link at the top of this video on Facebook. Or just search A2D Radio on YouTube. Subscribe, like our videos, tons of content, great stuff. Maddie, give us the read.
All right. Well, this segment of Lazy Booking was brought to you by Skinzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.skinzanosports.com.
Second half news items. We're going to play a little overrated, underrated, and this week in wrestling history. And we got a guest joining us on the second half.
As we get ready to take a ride on the
Ho Train. Guys, thanks again. Jump over to YouTube. We'll see you in the second half.
everybody. I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to the Lazy Booking Go. It's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. If you're joining us from YouTube, welcome. And if you're joining us from Facebook to YouTube, welcome. We are live from the BMW Atlantic City Studios here in Manny from New Jersey. Brought to you by Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com.
Dynamite. Welcome back. Second half of the show. Live Lazy Booking Radio from the Real Talk Studios on A2DRadio.com, on YouTube. Like Maddie said over here, if you made the jump from Periscope, from Facebook, over to YouTube, we appreciate it. If you stuck with us, we appreciate that. We love the fam. We love to conversate with the fam. Talk nerdy to me,
I was going to say, talk nerdy to me, baby.
Talk nerdy to me, baby. Second half of the show, you got the Ginger Gang back, brother.
Hell yeah.
Boom. Mike Mataraki's here. We got Andre Peruzzo over here joining us for the second half of the show. In the second half, we're going to talk news items. We're going to play a little word association with overrated, underrated. We're going to talk this week in wrestling. And we're going to continue to talk about our Scanzano Sports poll question. What title do you believe will change hands this weekend at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view? We have the WWE Championship. We have the SmackDown Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, the U.S. title, or any other titles that could possibly be one of the tag titles. Who knows? But we're going to continue the conversation.
The European Hardcore.
The European Hardcore. Well, listen, we just
the European Hardcore Championship.
we just crowned the European Championship last week. Which, by the way, if you guys didn't see that, we had a lot of fun with it.
That's why I was throwing you a bone.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with crowning the all-time European champion. Who should I say?
I think you should.
The British Bulldog. Was there any question? But we had great conversation to get to that solution. So go back and check it out. As well as you can check out all our other shows and all the archives on YouTube. So, yeah, stick with us. What do we got left?
Roscoe chimed in saying that Andre looks like CM Punk.
Oh.
I'm offended by that one.
He actually is not far off.
Well, he's about as close as I would
actually,
have CM Punk on this show.
You look like UFC CM Punk, though, not WWE CM Punk.
That's even worse.
That's not a compliment. That is not a compliment.
I'm not trying to be complimentary or insulting. I'm just stating facts. That's what I do, as Mark Henry would say.
Good Lord.
Because that's what I do.
There he is.
All right, off the rails we go.
All right.
What else is new?
Bringing it into those news items, guys. We got one thing to mention. Rey Mysterio reportedly has signed his deal to officially return to WWE.
Booyaka.
It's been rumored to be a 2-year deal.
Is that one of those limited dates deals?
I'm assuming so, but I'm not 100% certain. The only thing I saw was a 2-year deal that begins on August 1st.
And
So,
another Vince
interesting enough.
McMahon screw you to New Japan.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity now. He could be part of the SummerSlam build, whether it be part of the Cruiserweight division to uplift that even more, which has actually had a little bit of a revival as of late.
I was actually going to ask you guys at some point tonight if you've been checking out 205 Live over the past month.
No.
I've seen some really, really good matches on those shows the last month.
I've heard, yeah.
I mean, it's the booking on 205 Live has been up there with NXT probably for the past month to 6 weeks.
Well, I think, again, we've gotten out of that whole, we need to have an Enzo down there to give them some. They're letting the wrestling speak for itself. They're not overexposing these guys on the Raw roster, which I think was an issue. They're letting the guys do what cruiserweights do, what they did in WCW when they succeeded, which was go out there, make a program out of your main event program, and everything else is just let the wrestling speak for these guys.
I'll say this to you guys and to the audience. If you get a chance, just check out, and you're not going to even believe when I say the two names, Mustafa Ali and Buddy Murphy.
I heard the match was absolutely phenomenal.
phenomenal.
So I haven't watched it. I don't watch
I
205
will
live.
not. I will not spoil it. I'll just tell you it's phenomenal.
But it is on my to-do list to at least go back and watch that match, 100%. But interesting with Rey Mysterio coming back. Just real quick,
How badly do I want to see a Mysterio and Hideo Itami match?
that would be a fantastic.
That would
match.
be a wonderful match.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Do you think he would debut before SummerSlam, or is this one of those let's hold him out for the Raw or SmackDown post SummerSlam?
I think it's a post.
I think so as well. You guys think? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a post one. Do you think that he shows up on 205 Live, or does he show up on a SmackDown or a Raw?
I think that they would probably have some kind of maybe a cruiserweight match or something of that ilk on Raw or SmackDown, and that's where they'll bring him in. And then that then draws the attention of, okay, he's on the main show. We've seen him now interact with these guys that we've heard about. You can catch Mysterio over on 205 Live.
Right.
So that's where I would think, and it's a way to kind of directly promote, not just mention that this is something you can see. It's a direct promotion on the program.
And think about
over.
what they did when they brought Hideo Itami up to the main roster. They had him tag with Finn Balor on Raw for a couple weeks, and then very quickly migrated him off to 205 Live. I think you could see something very similar with Mysterio in the weeks to come.
All right, then. All right. Andre, what about you?
I think they're going to save Mysterio actually till closer to the release of the game. If you look at it, he's very injury prone. They probably have to make sure he's not going to get hurt first match, which is a big problem with him. He's had injuries. He's getting older. They're going to put him with probably someone more cruiserweight. I think the 205 Live would work, but I think they're going to hold him off till closer to the game release.
Yeah, I mean, and it's big. And I guess what the game releases in November, I believe, right? So even if they hold them out, if they do, that makes even more sense to wait till post SummerSlam and then start building it. Maybe September you start bringing them in because that's when they really ramp up those promotions for the games.
Yeah,
as well.
I to Andre's point, though, I mean, wasn't that pretty much what they did with Goldberg? Like, you knew he was back, but they didn't really go hot with the angle with him until the game was
That
ready
commercial.
to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
With
yeah.
the reflection right in that mirror
Yep.
or the window.
And
Yeah,
then
there
all
you
of a
go.
sudden, Survivor Series, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. You
Great.
know?
Yeah, one of the great all-time matches of all time. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, Brock
boy.
Lesnar has showed up at UFC 226. Daniel Cormier, I loved it, by the way.
Push me now, go to sleep later.
I absolutely loved it. Came in, cut his little promo. I thought Cormier was fantastic with it as well. I'm looking forward to that heavyweight fight. If you're a UFC fan, I want to see Cormier knock his block off. And I'm a Brock guy, but I love Cormier. He's one of the all-time greats.
What I want to know is how. I mean, there's a camera on Brock standing outside of the octagon. How does the crowd either completely pop or boo him out of the building before the quote-unquote angle even starts? I mean, it's not like they don't know he's there.
I mean, the UFC crowd's different. They're very different. I think that for them, when Brock comes back, I think that that's a big ticket match that people would look forward to seeing.
I got you.
You know, half of them probably don't even realize he's a Universal Champion of whatever.
Because they don't pay attention.
Yeah,
I got
they're
you.
you know. So, but interesting point to bring up with it is what happens with the Universal title now, because I think this is a game changer for me. I don't think you see Brock at all. I thought he would get through SummerSlam and then whatever happens after that contract-wise. But at this point, I just don't see them. I don't see. I think there's a legitimacy now to the whole Brock thing, and they do have an out to where, you know, they've built this hatred towards him with the fan base that, you know, this guy refuses to come out to the show. He's changed the card with Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns because he thinks he's a big shot. It's a good opportunity now to just say, hey, all right, let's strip the guy of the belt. And I honestly don't think that UFC is going to want him losing in a fake match leading up to this massive heavyweight fight that they're going to have.
He's going to have to forfeit the title.
Yeah.
And what I would love to see is I would love to see them actually take it very old school and have the one night 8-man single elimination tournament for the the Universal Championship, and you have 4 hot matches in the first round, and then your second round maybe you get one of the matches becomes a schmaz, whereas the other one goes real long, and then that weaves into the next story of this guy just went 35 minutes and this guy was only in the ring for 5 minutes, and there's lots of different ways that you could spin that, but I would love to have that that old style one night WWE Network special.
Well, they did that with Mysterio on Raw.
Yeah.
That's the last time I can remember they really did something like that. I could see that. I wouldn't hate that. I'd like that.
It's not lazy booking.
Not lazy booking at all.
What if they?
I was going to say, as I had kind of mentioned earlier, I could see the dusty finish or something happens where nobody gets the win, and then they just roll it into SummerSlam. I could see Roman and Bobby Lashley having a really good match, and them kind of spinning that off of these guys are deserving of being the next guys in line for that title at SummerSlam, and then I could see Braun cashing in at SummerSlam.
What if they actually decided to do, because they did this earlier in the year, what if they decided to do the gauntlet?
Didn't they just do a gauntlet like 2 weeks ago on SmackDown?
I don't like gauntlets, especially for like the WWE title. I remember they did that back in the day for the ECW title on one of those pay-per-views. I just didn't love it. To me, it's not fair to the guys that are in it. I mean, you talk about like Elimination Chamber or something like that. That's at least more compelling.
Right.
But just seeing a bunch of guys kind of just do one-on-one matches back and forth. The only time that's compelling is when they're fighting for a chance for it. Like when you saw Seth Rollins go, how many minutes on Raw?
Right.
Well,
a couple of months
then
ago.
that could be how you set it up, where it could be. I mean, obviously, you can have 1 week. You have one gauntlet match. You have 8 stars, or not 8, however many stars. The following week's just like, you like that gauntlet match? We got one more for you, and the 2 winners out of that face each other
Ball game
at SummerSlam to see who will be the Universal Champion. Just because that's an idea for a Raw, because sometimes Raw they have their good moments, they have their bad moments. That was one of the few Raws that got an impressive amount of watching. And that was something that people actually were like, wow, that was an amazing show. They just had the wrestlers go out there and freaking just put on a clinic and put on a show for everybody. You could get 2 really good Raws out of that.
But do you want to go to the well too many times, though?
So that would be my concern. Is that, like, you get somebody who tunes in and says, well, they just did this like a month and a half, 2 months ago. I'll turn it back on in an hour and see who wins the whole gauntlet. That would be my only concern with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like where you're going with where they do it every week for a couple of weeks and the winners then advance. I just don't know if you could do a gauntlet every week. I think what you may have to do is like...
I think you do a tournament, split it in half, and then the winners on each side of the bracket.
And you
then
could
face
do that
each
as well,
other.
yeah. But I think you could do, like, if you're trying to get guys into the tournament, you could do, like, 1 week you do a gauntlet. The next week you do, like, a 4 corners. The next week you do, like, a triple threat, but it's an elimination match where you have to pin both guys to advance. Like,
I got you.
There's different gimmicks that they could do with multiple guys so that you don't just get stale on the gauntlet. But I like where you're going with that, where you're involving multiple guys each week to get entry into the tournament.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And you give the fans something interesting to tune into, because it's like, okay, so this 1 week we did this next week we're going to do that. We're not just going to do the regular tournament. We're going to make this fun and creative.
Like you have to win. You have to win to get in.
Yeah,
right?
you do a little creative side of it.
Well, kind of the way King of the Ring used to be, where they would have the qualifying matches on TV, and then they'd put the bracket up, and you'd see like shooting the name into the bracket.
I think you guys are missing the point of they're tricking us into liking Roman. Think about it. We all hate Brock right now. We want to see Brock either come lose the title or do something. Just show up at least. They're going to have Roman probably beat Lashley last second with BS. Superman punch at the end. Everyone's going to be angry. It's going to close the show. We're all going to be mad. But we're still going to get Roman as that champ in a few months.
But that's the thing is, you may not be wrong, but I don't think they're tricking anyone. I just think this is the natural progression, and what they found in Lashley was a guy that basically that the two of them could go out there and talk shit on each other, and Roman can talk just as much shit on Lashley and have it all be true as Lashley can talk on Roman. And it has a lot more real feel to it than the contrived Roman just bitching and moaning and whining and crying that Brock's not there. So, to your original point, yes, it wouldn't surprise me one iota if we wind up getting Roman in the end. But I don't think they're tricking anyone. I think, in fact, what they're doing is they're being more real than they've been in quite a while with him. And that's why the segments are entertaining.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think are we all in agreement, though, that it's probably going to have to be a strip situation at this point?
Yeah.
At this point in time, it's looking like it.
Yeah. Interesting announcement this week that Caitlyn is now returning to WWE via the Mae Young Classic.
And can I just tell you?
She looks phenomenal.
She was one of, my, female wrestler crushes, several years ago before she sort of faded off into doing her own thing.
Yeah?
I don't know what it was about her, but I always had a thing. When I saw that headline that she's coming back, I'm like, who? And then I'm like, is this going to be like a one-shot deal for her?
Yeah.
Just, she's going to do the Mae Young Classic. Maybe she even loses first round. Who knows?
Yeah.
Of course, when Mike says the "oh" part, that's when the "hello, ladies" kicks in from Val Venus.
Hello, ladies.
Yeah, no, I think this is great. And
Chief Morley.
And Andre, during the break, Andre brought up that there's been conversation that they may do an all-women's main roster pay-per-view, which I think it just kind of validates bringing her back and giving kind of just providing more depth for that opportunity. And I wonder if that would open up doors. They did just cut back the two branded split pay-per-views. So maybe not every month, but every 3rd or 4th month, similar to a takeover, you could have not a women's takeover, but something of that ilk where, you can provide an event for the women to highlight all of the women on the show.
Well, and that's actually not a bad idea because they do it in the independents where
Sure.
you have all women promotions and then the
Shimmer.
guys go at it later on in the evening. Like CZW has their own female promotion.
Yeah,
if
there's
you go to one
Shimmer,
of their
there's Women of
events,
Wrestling, and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
What I actually think would be a really cool idea is if you take a weekend where there's a major pay-per-view, a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble or, Survivor Series, whatever the case may be, where that you're going to have a takeover attached on a Saturday night. And maybe what you do is you go, okay, Friday night, we're going to give the women their complete own event. Saturday we'll do takeover, and then Sunday we'll go with, our main show.
My concern with that is
Tickets.
they're going to want to highlight. No, they're going to want to highlight the women on those main primary shows. So I think it's a disservice to the show if you hold back the title matches from it. And I also think it's a knock to the women by not including them on the main roster. If you decide, okay, well, no, we'll run it with the women's title matches on that, because it's all about making them as important as the men.
No, I agree with that, but
I
I think if you give them their own show where they're not competing with the men for time, that they actually get their own.
Now, maybe this is splitting hairs, though, but if you're running into a snag on a pay-per-view And it's like, okay, we really only have room for one women's title match. We can put the other one on the women's show. And that way, if it comes down to it, if you really, really need to, that might be just splitting hairs.
But yeah, but like, why is this one more important than the other?
Agreed with that.
You
But
start kind of dabbing into that, and I don't think you want to start crossing that.
What I could also see with that is the inevitable downtime that they would need on a pay-per-view where they have, the women's show Friday night, they have NXT on Saturday. So on Sunday, you're having your men's pay-per-view, and the time that they need to fill between matches or while they're cleaning up a schmaz at ringside or setting up a steel cage or whatever the case may be, let's go back and show you the highlights from a phenomenal, women's blah, blah, blah on Friday night. Is it a perfect idea? No, not at all. I think it would be one worth giving a shot just to see how it plays out.
I think a way that you can strengthen that idea is by having it with those times where you have a Backlash or you have a, what the hell was the one, Battleground and all that crap that they have. Giving the women the chance to steal the weekend, to have that opportunity to put on the show of the weekend, knowing that they're not putting forth the strongest effort in terms of story building for the men. That's the time in the season to make something that's like something that you're looking forward to, because a lot of these pay-per-views are now in this period of time are very difficult to get your energy up to watch, unless a Ronda's on it or something.
Right.
Like that.
Well, Ryan just actually shot me a really good idea where takeovers typically happen every 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So why not at the 2-month mark between two pay-per-view weekends where there is a takeover on a Saturday and a main show pay-per-view on a Sunday? Why not take that Saturday night and instead of having a takeover, have a women's show? So
they're not gonna give in on takeover.
No. Takeovers happen every 4 months.
The weekend that takeover doesn't happen.
So the second month in between.
That actually feeds into what I'm saying then, because that would be the offset, the off
Right,
shows from the main roster.
right.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic
So it kind of
idea.
works both ways, where they get their own show.
Sure.
But it's not the Friday night.
And
kind of,
and sure, and like I said, those shows, a lot of those shows, let's be honest, for the most part, are stinkers. They're 4, 5, 6-star shows. You give the women the chance to steal the weekend and highlight the women on the scale with the men. I think it's a fantastic idea if you do it that way.
Yeah, I think that actually works for everybody.
Yeah,
because it encompasses everything that we're talking about.
Yeah,
I like it.
Oh, I agree. I know we wanted to talk Bret Hart, but I wanted to give it ample time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could do a live video on that this week. We'll see if we can do like a live video.
We can get everybody to
Real
jump
Talk.
on a live. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do something like that. But all right, before we and actually, by the way, this date in wrestling history has a lot of really huge things. We'll get to it.
Oh boy.
But real quick, let's do a little overrated, underrated here, guys. Let's all throw out a name. You can start because I like the name you threw out.
Really? You want me to go? You want me to go there right out of the gate?
You're going to go right out of the gate.
Are we doing overrated or
We're going,
underrated?
So it's
word association.
No, it's first thing that comes to our
Never
mind.
mind. Okay.
So, and Ryan, if you want to yell it out, I'll call
give
out
us
what you
give
got.
us like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and we'll.
So for me, throw yours in first, and then at the end of this, I want your overall. This is Legends, so it doesn't have to be WWE. It could be NWA, it could be TNA, WCW, whatever you want to do. But main event, all-time guys, overrated, underrated. We're going to throw names out, and then we're going to give our most overrated and most underrated. So
my name is Lex Luger.
I'm going to say underrated, which will shock you, only because awful as a face, I thought Luger as a heel was fantastic.
Okay, that's
He was
fair.
I thought he was a decent enough worker in the ring, and he was very hateable. And when whenever he was a heel, whether it was in WCW or the stupid narcissist, the narcissist, I thought he was very hateable. I thought he did a great job with that. So I'm gonna go underrated.
I'm gonna go overrated. I was never. Luger. Yes, as a heel, he was good, but I feel like like he was just Luger. Like he had a body, but I felt like it was like that's all he had, you know?
Andre?
I think overrated by far. I mean, look at the gimmicks they tried to push on him. The whole American gimmick was a mess. He had all right matches, nothing special. I mean,
The USS Intrepid.
Oh
I didn't think he was consistent. His matches were, I felt like, always repetitive. I didn't really enjoy his promos, but I grew up with it, but I'm a different age. I look at it different.
Yeah.
So I just think really
The limited skill set's a fair point. I feel like a lot of those guys back then did.
And we get a thumbs down from Ryan. So
Ryan
he's
goes with,
he's
all right.
overrated in Mr. Brodo's mind as well.
All right.
Kevin
Matty.
Nash.
Are we talking Kevin Nash or Diesel?
Well, I guess just as a whole, the guy, his wrestling career, overrated or underrated?
See, I'm
I'm going to go overrated.
I'm underrated as Diesel, overrated as himself.
I think he's just, in general, I think he's overrated. And I don't mean that as a knock because I still think he's a Hall of Fame caliber guy. But you talk about limited sets. He was a great talker, but there's not many matches that I look at him. Like, most of his big matches, other guys came out better for it. Look at Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania 11.
That is a very fair point.
Even late into his career, the controversy, yeah, sure, he went over Goldberg, but what was the controversy? It was that he booked himself over Goldberg. It wasn't that it was this great match and he ended Goldberg's streak and yada, yada, yada. His matches with Hogan were whatever. I just really never, unless he worked with a great guy, he never really put on a great match.
I'm in the overrated category for Nash because Nash had all the credentials to do more than what he did, but I feel like once he took that paycheck at WCW, he was like, fuck it, what's effort?
Packed
you
it in,
know,
I agree.
he did not care.
He was overrated. I mean, the only thing going for him was he was a big man. He was mysterious at the beginning with Shawn Michaels, but what else did he really do? Had Scott Hall taser Goldberg?
Yeah.
It's fair.
The infamous Starcade finish.
The poke of doom or whatever?
And
I
another
do
thumb,
love that, actually.
the poke of
The
doom.
poke of, I
Yeah.
actually like that. I don't know why I do.
Get another thumbs
'cause
down
it's
from
so
Mr.
terrible.
Brodo too.
Yeah, Mr. Brodo thinks he's overrated. Andre, throw a name out there, bro.
I got to go with the reason I got really big into wrestling was Goldberg. He was the most
Overrated.
I loved him, but seeing him now and watching it get more psychology, I'm like, well, I must have been drinking as a child.
Oh, yeah. No, his matches definitely don't stand the test of time. That's for sure. And then
think-
when they recreated them in current time, they didn't stand the test of time.
I think Goldberg to an adult overrated, but the way that you explain that, which is as a child, what got you into wrestling, he could very easily be underrated as a larger than life.
Sure.
Oh my God, this guy is awesome to a 12-year-old.
Sure.
So I have no issue with the name. I just think it depends on where you are in your life is how you look at him.
I'm going to say overrated only because, like, obviously there's the limited skill set. He only knew how to do 3 moves. And on top of that, too, he kind of never really cared about the business. He kind of just like, I'm punching in and punching out and taking a job. Kind of like Nash. Like hey, this is just a job for me. I don't care,
Overrated.
Overrated.
Nice.
Wow.
So far, no underrateds with the exception of, like, one underrated in a sea of overrated.
Dusty Rhodes.
Whew. I'm going to say underrated for the sole purpose that man could talk thousands of people into an arena,
Sure.
could sell like there was nobody's business, and his matches never really shit the bed. Now, granted, he basically had bionic elbow, elbow drop, bionic elbow, elbow drop, figure 4. He wasn't a spectacular worker by any means, but he would just hold a crowd in the palm of his hand.
I'm going to say agree with Mike on that underrated, but here's the one thing. You know how Goldberg had only 3 moves? Problem is he didn't have the care or the charisma or the effort to make it work, whereas Dusty's the total opposite. He had the charisma. He had the ability to make it work. He got it over, and he did talk people. He put asses in the seats in his era and past his era, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it right now is what you're seeing with Cody.
Sure.
I think Dusty horribly underrated. I mean, think back to his promos. Like, how often now do you get that feeling from a promo where you're like, oh my gosh, Dusty was just amazing. You got that feeling during the match, during his promos. It's still like being a little kid. It's
This is
great.
my hand reaching out, touching your hand.
He
What do you got,
ya.
Bruno?
We get a thumbs up for Dusty.
I say overrated.
And that doesn't shock me
I
one iota. Because
I-
you're a snob.
The guy is a wonderful, wonderful talker, but I look at guys, there's been a lot of wonderful talkers in professional wrestling, and I've watched his matches time and again, and they just don't compel me. Now, if there's a story like with the Horsemen that something carries out with it, that's different, but to me, it's the other parties that make that something. Now, I will say his feud specifically with Flair is absolutely phenomenal. It was just you couldn't write anything more beautiful. You know, the working man and the privileged guy. That being said, I think he's very, very overrated. As a wrestler, as a man of the business, I would say he's underrated. And he's so highly looked upon. I still think he's underrated. Yeah. He's one of the best minds in the history of the business.
So is this back to me?
I think we're doing your number one overrated and underrated.
Oh, I wanted to do one more word association, if you don't mind.
Sure.
John Cena.
Underrated. Absolutely underrated.
I'm right there with you. That was the answer I was looking for.
Ryan says underrated.
See, the thing is like, I would say underrated, but the thing is, I don't even know if he's really underrated because he's the number one guy for WWE.
But in terms of how he's looked at by the fan base
oh,
and whatnot.
okay, yeah, I got you on that one.
Underrated.
All right, I'll go with that. Yeah, underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
I'm going to give mine. The Iron Sheik.
Overrated.
Sheik.
But he's a
heel,
great Twitter follow.
He is a great Twitter follow. I'm going to go overrated with that too.
I'm going to say
That's a great name though.
This is a tough one.
We should do this every week.
We should.
All right, I'm going to say
Segment.
overrated.
Sure.
On that one.
Okay.
I think I break your back and make you humble.
You think he's underrated?
He's there's too many things. Like, is it his wrestling time we're looking at, or just the psychoticness now?
Well, psychoticness now.
I'll tell you what, though.
Phenomenal.
Honestly, I mean, like, when I was watching his matches when I was, like, 12, 13, 14 years old, his matches were boring as shit.
Yeah, no, that's why I say he's overrated.
I mean, he's way overrated.
You
Great,
know what?
he's a great personality, but his matches suck.
You know what? Let's save the overall. I want to save that for when's the next time you're on?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
All right.
We're gonna make a segment about that because I really think we're gonna get into conversation with that.
Okay.
Of the overall overrated and underrated legends, and maybe we'll expand it and we'll do a couple different categories and we'll make it a nice segment.
I have another name too that I will sit on because it's.
Yeah.
I think it could spark like literally like an hour-long debate.
Oh boy.
Before we wrap up, we got 2 minutes. I'm going to run now because there's actually a lot of really good news points, in the history. So this is 32 years ago today. Bruno Sammartino defeated Tito Santana.
Arriba!
The WWF. He defeated. Him and Tito defeated. Fuck, why would you team with him, Bruno? Randy Savage and Adrian Adonis in a steel cage match in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I think you're just mad because Tito won.
oh terrible. Terrible. A gentleman who just passed away, obviously, a legend, Big Van Vader, 25 years ago today at Bash at the Beach. 23 years ago. He defeats Sting to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
A man called
Yeah.
Vader.
Was that on Boy Meets World or no?
No. 21 years ago today, Jack Tunney resigns from the WWF.
In other
Jack
words, he
Tunney.
retired and didn't want to be on TV anymore.
Yeah.
That's funny.
18 years ago today, Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman defeated Diamond Dallas Page and Karl Malone.
Oh wow.
I can't believe that's that long ago. I still remember watching that.
Fuck, I'm old.
I
Yeah.
give Dennis Rodman
I'm
credit,
old.
though. He actually did a pretty damn good job for
Yeah.
his matches.
Oh, for sure.
Tell you what, Karl Malone wasn't bad either.
No.
He could hit that diamond cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah,
And we got to go.
Yeah,
We-
no,
we'll
this
keep-
is the last one.
We'll keep the cameras rolling.
And 11 years ago, Matt Hardy came back, gave his first public statement after his return to WWE, and basically trashed Edge.
Version
the
1.
entire thing.
We'll keep the cameras rolling. If the title changes, we'll show it to you next week. We got to go.
Yeah. Guys, good stuff, man. Great stuff. Andre, thanks for joining us this
Oh,
week,
thanks for
buddy. We
having me,
appreciate
guys.
having you on the couch. Mikey, welcome back.
Thank you, brother.
The Ginger Gang, my man. Ryan Brodo, great job over there. Matty, give us a read.
All right. Lazy Booking was brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants, located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call, 215-369-3300. Tax season was here, but it'll be back, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
Like, subscribe, A2D on Facebook and YouTube, guys. We love talking to the fam. Great conversation tonight. We'll talk to you next week.